A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Beetv Global News at 12. I am Ruth Ogbodu and now the news in detail. U.S. President Donald Trump issued stern warnings on Monday to both Iran and Hamas, signaling heightened U.S. resolve amid ongoing Middle East tensions. Speaking alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, Trump said the United States could support another major strike on Iran if Tehran resumes rebuilding its ballistic missile or nuclear weapons programs, and cautioned that the Palestinian militant group Hamas would face severe consequences if it fails to disarm under the Gaza ceasefire deal. The reports.
At a joint press conference, Trump suggested that Iran may be working to restore its weapon capabilities at new locations after a significant U.S. strike in June that targeted Iranian nuclear and missiles facilities. He claimed U.S. intelligence indicates Tehran efforts to rebuild, although he did not present public evidence. Trump said the United States knows exactly where they are going and what they are doing, and warned that if Iran resumes its programs, Washington could back another powerful response, potentially more powerful than the last time. He referenced the long flight time of strategic bombers as a consideration in operational planning. Trump's comment underscored a firm U.S. posture against any Iranian attempt to reconstitute key military technologies that the U.S. and Israel view as threats to regional and global security. Iran has previously denied intentions to build nuclear weapons and says its missiles program is central to its national defense. On the Gaza front, Trump sharply criticized Hamas for failing to disarm as part of the fragile ceasefire deal brokered by the United States between Israel and the militant group after 2 years of conflict. He reiterated that advancing to the next phase of the peace deal, which envisions international peacekeepers and transitional governance in Gaza, depends on Hamas relinquishing its weapons. Trump said that if they don't disarm as they agreed to do, then they will be held to pay for them. Trump also praised Israel's compliance with the ceasefire terms and publicly backed Netanyahu's position that Hamas may lay down arms peacefully or face renewed Israeli military pressure. Israeli forces remain in control of parts of the territory, and both sides have accused each other of violating the ceasefire. The meeting with Netanyahu touched on other regional concerns, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and the participation of Turkey in potential peacekeeping operations, a sensitive diplomatic topic given strained Israel-Turkey ties. Trump and Netanyahu reiterated their alignment on pressing Iran and securing lasting ceasefire progress even as challenges persist on the ground. The strong rhetoric from Washington reflects deep U.S. involvement in Middle Eastern diplomacy and security strategy, as well as efforts to uphold a ceasefire that has moderated but not fully ended violent confrontations. Zainab Mohammed reporting for Beetv News.
And moving on, U.S. stocks closed lower as Wall Street kicked off the final week of the year on a cautious footing, weighed down by the declines in heavyweight technology shares that have followed recent gains. The pullback followed last week's rally, which pushed the S&P 500 to record highs, driven largely by strong performances in major tech names. The report.
On Monday, however, investors appeared to lock in profits, leading to broad weakness across the main indexes. Technology stocks were the biggest drag on the market, with several large-cap names retreating after their recent advances. The sector's decline overshadowed modest gains in some defensive and value-oriented areas, limiting support for the broader market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq Composite all ended the session lower, reflecting a more cautious tone as trading volumes remained relatively light during the holiday period. Market participants showed little appetite for aggressive positioning ahead of year-end, with many opting to reassess after a strong run in equities. Investors are also looking ahead to key economic data and policy signals expected in the new year, particularly around inflation trends, interest rates, and corporate earnings. These factors are likely to shape market direction once normal trading activity resumes in early January. Despite the day's decline, U.S. equities remain near record level, capping off a year marked by strong gains, especially in technology-driven stocks. Analysts note that short-term pullbacks are not unusually after sharp rallies and may reflect consolidation rather than a shift in the broader market outlook. As the year draws to a close, market sentiment remains cautiously optimistic, though near-term trading is expected to stay subdued amid holiday-themed participation and profit-taking in recent outperforming stocks. Zainab Mohammed reporting for Beetv News.
French film legend Brigitte Bardot, who died on Saturday at the age of 91, will be buried in a cemetery by the sea in the French Riviera resort of Saint-Tropez, local authorities said on Monday. The announcement brings the final chapter to a life that made Bardot one of the most recognized figures in global cinema and animal rights activism. The report.
Bardot, whose rise to fame in the 1950s and 1960s transformed her into an international sign icon and symbol of liberated femininity, passed away on December 28 at her home in Saint-Tropez, according to local authorities and media reports. The cause of death has not been publicly disclosed. A funeral service will be held on January 7th at 10 o'clock GMT at the Notre Dame de l'Assomption Church in Saint-Tropez, the municipality said. Plans call for a private burial in the nearby cemetery overlooking the sea, followed by a private tribute at Pres des Pétrels in La Ponche, the historic old quarter of the former fishing village where locals and visitors alike can pay their respect. The burial will be held in the strictest privacy, but a tribute open to locals and fans will take place, the statement said. Bardot's association with Saint-Tropez spanned decades. After starring in film shots in and around the region, most famously in And God Created Woman, she made the coastal town her permanent home, living mostly out of the public eye at her villa La Madrigue with her husband Bernard and a large menagerie of rescue animals that reflected her lifelong devotion to animal welfare. For much of her later life, she lived exclusively behind high walls, tending to cats, dogs, and horses, while leading her Brigitte Bardot Foundation, a charity she founded in 1986 that became a major voice in global animal rights campaigning. Residents, many of whom saw her regularly walking her dogs along the beaches of Saint-Tropez, expressed sorrow at her passing. She was lovely, there's no other word, said Philippe Vlomer, a local who said he had known Bardot for 30 years. Yes, we will really miss her. He recounted fondly how he once helped her when she fell into the water with her dog. France President Emmanuel Macron paid tribute to Bardot's cultural impact, saying she embodied a life of freedom and described her as a legend of the century whose presence moved generations of French and international audience. Despite her celebrity and widespread admiration for her animal rights activism, Bardot's later years were also marked by controversial political views and repeated legal issues tied to remarks critics called intolerant. Yet her place in cinematic history remained undisputed, with a body of work continuing to be studied as part of the evolution of post-war film and French popular culture. Local officials noted that Bardot had once expressed a wish to be laid to rest in her own garden at La Madrague, a request that could not be fulfilled because authorities did not receive the required formal request for such an interment. As Saint-Tropez prepares to honor her life one last time, tributes from fans, film institutions, and cultural commentators are also expected to pour in, marking the end of an era for one of France's most enduring and iconic figures. Evelyn Izibli reporting for Beetv News.
Russia on Tuesday accused Ukraine of attempting to carry an attack on President Vladimir Putin's residence in northern Russia, a claim Kyiv firmly rejected as false and politically motivated. The report.
The Kremlin said Russian air defense system intercepted drones near a protected site associated with the president, alleging the incident was part of the Ukrainian effort to escalate the conflict and threaten Russian leadership. Officials did not specify the exact location of the residence or provide evidence to substantiate the accusation, citing security concerns. Ukraine dismissed the allegation as baseless. A senior Ukrainian official said Kyiv had no involvement in any attempted strike on Putin's residence and described the claim as an attempt by Moscow to discredit Ukraine and derail ongoing diplomatic efforts. The official added that Ukraine's military operations are focused on legitimate military targets linked to Russia's war efforts, not symbolic or civilian locations. The accusation comes amid heightened tension and continued fighting along the front lines, as well as fragile international efforts aimed at reducing hostilities. Analysts noted that such claims, when not accompanied by verifiable evidence, are difficult to independently confirm and often emerge during periods of intensified conflicts or negotiations. Russia had previously accused Ukraine of targeting high-profile sites and figures, while Ukraine has repeatedly denied involvement in attacks inside Russia that it says are staged or exaggerated for domestic and international messaging. Both sides have used strong rhetoric as the war enters another protracted phase. No casualties or damage were officially reported in connection with the alleged incident. International observers have not independently verified Russia's claims, and no supporting imagery or technical details were released. The development adds to a growing list of mutual accusations between Moscow and Kyiv, underscoring the deep mistrust between the two sides and the challenges facing any renewed push for peace talks. Evelyn Isabella reporting for Beetv News.
Bulgaria is preparing to adopt the euro, becoming the 21st country to join the euro currency zone after meeting all former entry criteria this year. The European Commission confirmed that the country has fulfilled the requirements related to inflation, budget deficits, long-term borrowing costs, and exchange rate stability. The report.
The move marks a major milestone for Bulgaria, which joined the European Union in 2007 but has retained the lev as its national currency. The lev has been pegged to the euro for nearly 2 decades, helping to maintain financial stability and paving the way for full euro adoption. Bulgarian officials describe euro adoption as a key step toward economic growth, increased foreign investment, and deeper integration with the EU. Prime Minister emphasized that joining the eurozone will simplify trade, facilitate travel, and strengthen protection for saving and financial transactions. The governments have already begun preparation for the transition, including updating the bank system, launching public awareness campaign, and coordinating with EU institutions on the timetable for the changeover. Analysts say the transition could bring benefits such as lower borrowing costs, improved investor confidence, and reduced currency risks for businesses. However, concerns remain about potential inflation and price adjustments for everyday goods, as experienced by some other Eurozone entrants. Reactions among Bulgarians are mixed. Many citizens are excited, viewing Euro adoption as a symbol of European integration and economic progress. Others express skepticism, worried about rising prices, loss of monetary control, and impacts on small businesses and pensions. Consumer groups are calling for clear guidance to ensure transparency and fair rounding practices during the currency switch. Bulgaria is expected to officially adopt the euro within the next year, though an exact date has not yet been announced. EU institutions will monitor the process closely to ensure a smooth and stable transition. As the nation prepares for his historic change, Bulgaria faces a balance of excitement and caution, weighing the economic opportunities of euro adoption against practical concerns for businesses and citizens alike. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
At least 3 Turkish police officers and 6 Islamic State militants were killed on Monday in a violent gunfire in northwest Turkey. The country's Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya said as security forces intensified operations against extremists, says the report.
The clash occurred during a pre-dawn counter-terrorism raid on a property in the El Mali district of Yalova province, south of Istanbul, where suspected IS militants were believed to be hiding. Police stormed the house and were met with heavy resistance, resulting in a prolonged exchange of gunfire. Interior Minister Yalikaya said that in addition to the fatality, at least 8 other police officers and a night guard were wounded in the confrontation. Special forces from neighboring Bosa province were dispatched to reinforce the operation. The operation in Yalova was part of a nationwide crackdown with more than 100 simultaneous raids targeting suspected IS locations across at least 15 provinces. Authorities said the militants killed in Yalova were all Turkish nationals. Due to the presence of civilians in the targeted house, police conducted the raid with caution, safely evacuating 5 women and 6 children who were inside prior to the shootout. The deadly clash comes a week after Turkish police detained over 100 suspected IS militants who were allegedly planning attack during Christmas and New Year celebration, raising concern about the group renewed activity within the country. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan expressed condolences for the fallen officers and reiterated the government's commitment to combat terrorism across Turkey. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
We are going on a short break to stay with us.
Our dearly beloved mommy and matriarch, late Madam Gift Soe Irabo. Mommy, it's been 8 years since you left us in this sinful world, and just like a burnt down library, our world crashed when death took you away from us. As our mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister, aunt, and mother-in-law, we will not forget in a hurry the great lessons you taught us, especially your prayerful lifestyle that brought us closer to God. We remember your undying love, care, and passion for God and man. The entire family of Yorama Erabo of Ogo Town in Orion local government area of Edo State cordially invites the public to the 8 years remembrance of their daughter, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, Madam Gift Soe Erabo. Date: January 13, 2026. Venue: Rose Garden Event Center, number 22, Giwa Amo Street, off Airport Road, GRA, Benin City. Time: 12 p.m. prompt. Mommy, continue to rest until we meet to part no more. We love you dearly. Signed, Ambassador Ogene Osaumese JP for the family.
Observations showed that the grid went down around 2 p.m., plunging many Nigerians into darkness. Power generation had peaked at about 4,800 megawatts earlier on Monday before crashing to 139 MW as of 3 p.m., according to data obtained by Newsman. The cause of the collapse could not be immediately confirmed. However, it occurred at a time when the Nigerian Independent System Operator was making efforts to ramp up generation following a recent gas constraint caused by pipeline vandalism. The federal government's approval to write off about $5 billion in debt owed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is part of moves to prepare the state-owned energy firm for a potential initial public offering in 2028, a new report by Argos have revealed. Energy intelligence firm Argos on Monday quoted industry sources as saying that government is cleaning up NNPC's balance sheet to position the company for a public listing as Nigeria pursues reform aimed at attracting foreign investment and boosting transparency in the oil and gas sector. The presidency confirmed on Monday that President Bola Tinubu had approved the write-off of NNPC dollar-denominated debt totaling $1.42 billion, alongside local currency liabilities amounting to 5.57 trillion naira, bringing the total cleared obligations to about $5 billion at current exchange rates. The federal government has firmly rejected claims by the chairman and chief executive officer of Air Peace, Alain Onyema, that Nigeria's new tax regime will cripple the aviation industry and trigger a sharp rise in airfares. In response to Onyema's comments during a Sunday interview, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, on Monday said the claims were misleading and did not reflect the substance of the reform schedule to take off from January 1st, 2026. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
Taking to Instagram, the actress revealed that the movie has grossed a staggering 382,897,436 naira in just 11 days, marking her fastest ever climb to such a high box office figure. Toyin expressed deep appreciation to her fan base, known as the Toyin Titans, for their overwhelming support, which has surpassed the performance of her previous blockbusters. She encouraged more Nigerians to visit the cinemas during the holiday season, describing the film as an impactful narrative that resonates with the audience. Nigerian comedian and filmmaker Ayo Makun, popularly known as AY, has voiced strong criticism of the Nigerian government following the tragic car accident involving boxing champion Anthony Joshua on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The crash, which occurred on Monday, claimed the lives of two of Joshua's associates when their Lexus SUV collided with a stationary truck. While Joshua survived with minor injuries, AY expressed deep frustration over the state of the nation's infrastructure. In a heartfelt post on Instagram, AY highlighted the irony of a national hero returning home only to be met with tragedy due to systemic negligence. Beyoncé has been declared a billionaire by Forbes, making her the fifth musician to join its list of the world's wealthiest people. The American star has joined an elite group of musicians with 10-figure fortunes, Forbes reports, including Taylor Swift, Rihanna, Bruce Springsteen, and her husband Jay-Z, who the Business magazine lists as having a net worth of $2.5 billion. Earlier this month, Forbes estimated Beyoncé's net worth of $800 million and predicted she would cross the billionaire threshold for the first time following years of success. And that's it on the entertainment news. Evelyn Isabella reporting for Beetv News.
And now to sports. Lazio manager Maurizio Sarri has undergone a minor heart operation after being diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, a condition that affects the heart rhythm. As reported by Newsma on Tuesday, the procedure was routine, and the Serie A club said they expect the 66-year-old to return to his regular duties within the next few days. A post obtained from the club's X account on Tuesday was quoted as saying, SS Lazio announced that head coach Maurizio Sarri, following the detection of atrial fibrillation, underwent a transcatheter ablation procedure using PFA technology at the Policlinico Betaga Hospital. Sarri was appointed Lazio manager for a second time in June 2025 and is currently overseeing the club's campaign as a sits 8th in Serie A, having won 6 of their 17 league matches so far. And that is all on our 12 p.m. Global News. Thank you for joining and stay tuned for our 3 p.m. news updates. I am Ruth Ogbodu. Goodbye for now.
Global